Welcome to Guiding Voices, where we spotlight leaders shaping future through purpose-driven impact. Today, we are honored to welcome our distinguished mentor, Engineer Adeniyi Adeaga, who is a seasoned engineer manager in Canada. With deep expertise in decarbonization, clean energy, and sustainability, Mr. Adeniyi Adeaga brings a wealth of experience in energy audit, in innovative systems like solar PV and building automation. He holds 2 masters in both engineering, and he's also a certified engineer and also a certified engineering manager. So with his passion focusing on driving sustainable change is both inspiring and also transformative. And I would say, welcome, sir. It's always an honor to have you and to share this platform with you as one of our mentors at WeGuide.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate you. I know it's a whole lot of sacrifice for our mentors to come spend some time here discussing about how we can move Africa forward, how we can help our students and young professionals in Africa shorten their time to success by sharing our stories with them and giving them time to ask questions and seek guidance.
Thank you, Debola. Thanks for having me. It's really a good initiative. I like what you're doing, and it's a good way to give back, to encourage those that are coming behind us, so that they can tap from our knowledge, and then, so that they don't have to go through most of the struggles that we went through, right? Like we discussed, shortening their own kind of stairs, the number of hurdles that they have to go over, right? And, I think it's something that is really, really dear to my heart. I really like what you're doing, and I'm impressed by it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So now I have a question. I'm going to start with my first question, and obviously it's because I come from a space where we talk about petrol and oil money.
Mm-hmm.
So you are in Alberta, which is the city that focuses on mostly energy and oil and gas in Canada. Yeah. So can you tell me really what you do as an energy manager in Alberta and what your day looks like really?
Like you said, I used to work in oil and gas, after grad school, right? But I transitioned from oil and gas industry into clean energy and energy management and decarbonization, stuff like that. So really my day right now is, what I do mostly is to come up with projects that can help advance a net zero goal for an organization, for my employer. I would say Photos County, that's where I currently work. So be it in transportation system, be it in facilities, like in buildings, right? Like we use electricity, we use natural gas for heating, we use electricity for, to power lightings and most of the other things. Also, in some of our facilities, they use a little bit of propane for other things as well. So what I do mostly is to, think of ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from our operations, from our facilities, and then, this will culminate into the organizational goal of transitioning to net zero in, few years from now. So basically what I do is every day I rack my brain, I do research. Sometimes I do, I won't say sometimes, I say a lot. I do research online and networking to come up with ideas that, because no two situations are the same, right? Like, for example, no two facilities are the same. No two buildings are the same. No two operations are the same, right? So you have to know. And then we're also working in between guidelines. For example, the building code, like the energy code, national building code. Like there are some things that you just have to still abide with, but you are also trying to save energy. Whereas some, for example, we talk about it, the building code of Alberta is still kind of it's a little backward, I would say. So you still have to work around that But still, you have to come up with ways of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in your operations, in your facilities, and save money as well. Yeah.
That's amazing, because I've always wondered, what I've always wanted to ask this question behind the cameras. I wanted to ask it, but it came to my mind now as we started talking, and I thought I should start from it. So you kind of have an interesting journey, obviously starting from Nigeria as a chemical engineer, and then you moved on to petroleum engineering, and now you're doing energy management. What actually drew you to engineering? Let's start from the beginning. Why did you choose engineering in the first place?
Oh, why did I choose engineering? That's a tricky one, right? And all I know is, I would say most of these things, if you find somebody, I'm sure if you go to Dangote today and ask him 40 years, Mr. Dangote 40 years ago, or Mr. Otedela, or somebody else, anybody in any career, right? 40 years ago, like, did you have this planned out? Did you think you were going to be in this, this space? 40 years ago, they'll tell you probably not. So all I know is right from high school, my mom actually would always, you have to be a doctor. But I never liked anything biology, because I thought, why would, I remember in high school while they would ask us to, memorize and draw a mammalian heart or something, or I'm like, why would I need to memorize and then write it? It never made sense to me, so I never liked anything like. But I knew I love maths very well, and then I love chemistry. Maybe not much of physics. So then I didn't even. What was I gonna do? I knew it has to be engineering. You just had to be engineering. So I used to, go through the JAM brochure, right? And then okay, chemical engineering. That sounds like something that will, mix mathematics and chemistry. Okay, interesting. And then that's how the thought came. And then I first went to Polytechnic, actually. So I was admitted to IFE through direct entry. So I did OND chemical engineering. I went to Federal Poly Bida. And then, after that, I was stuck at home for a few years because I wanted to go to Unilag. I just had to be Unilag by force. I just wanted to go to Unilag. But then, I wasn't first year, second year, third year, I wasn't getting admitted to Unilag because, of course, Unilag was competitive, right? And I had my friends in OAU, they were already, my friends that we finished OND together. They were already, admitted and, moving to third year. I'm like, this guy, just come to. God bless Dr. Macaulay's memory. Baba Macaulay, as we call him. And just go to this man, you have good results. Don't worry, you don't need to do anything. And then I went in, and then I got admitted to IFE easily. So, and then, that's the story. That's how I got into engineering. How I think it was a little shocking that, I thought it was going to be a lot of chemistry and math. Then when we started this chemical engineering thing, we were doing a little bit of chemistry, but then it was all about math and more even like physics, background in physics. I'm like, what is up? Because I didn't have very good physics teacher in high school. So I didn't really like physics. But I know that it was because I didn't have good teacher. And I was kind of a lazy student. People that know me will say I'm a lazy student. So in the university, I quickly had to catch up that if you were not going to, you know how IFE is, right? So I quickly had to catch up and, get on with it and train myself and I adapted quickly. So I was able to do well, in IFE. Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, I would say.
Well, that story sounds familiar anyways. I always said that one thing I found out, I wanted to also not do engineering. I wanted to do something, I think pharmacy. But I saw that biology does not allow you to be very creative. Like, you have to follow the rules, the process. You can't just say that I want to decide that to carry that through and make certain assumptions. You can't assume. It's human body, like it's human being. So I was like, this engineering, you can allow me to twist things anyhow. I can decide to use substitution or do whatever. So it allows you to be creative and to do stuff the way you like it, but not biology. So again, that's why by the time I did my own third jam, I landed. I just went to do engineering, and I'm like, okay, no. So I think it was my second jam, from engineering. I think I'm just going for engineering and everything. But that's amazing. So now to my next questions. You were part of the first people that came to Canada. that I know of. When the bunch of us were all going to England to actually, and the United States for our grad school, you came to Canada. Well, I can say out of the people that I know, you are ahead of me, but I mean, out of the people that I know at my fingertips, you're part of people that came to Canada first. And I just wanted to ask, what informed that decision to go to Canada when everyone was going another way? You came to Canada. What stirred up that decision? I just wanted to know.
Honestly, I would say same thing I said the last time, that if you ask Dangote and this, I would say faith. I would say God has a way of, I don't know, because okay, I was in Ife, right? The 5th year, I wrote GRE, I wrote TOEFL. I was going to go to the US. I remember I chose University of Louisiana, West Virginia University of, I think Missouri University of Science and Tech. So I wrote GRE. I wanted to go to US. Something I can't remember what happened. This thing happened within few days. I think I was talking to a friend, a classmate in Ife. I wouldn't mention the person's name now. I've never had this conversation with this person. This person does not know that they had impact in me coming to Canada. This person had, maybe knowledge about, doing applications to schools in the US and Canada, this kind of thing. We're just chatting and he was like, oh, Canada is, it's a good place, blah, blah, blah. And then, US is also good, but Canada, the person said they love Canada. I'm like, what is Canada? I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to US anyway, so. But then I did a little bit of research about Canada, Canadian schools, and then US, and then the country, right? Then it struck me that, okay, wait a minute, why do I want to go to US? Why can't I go to this place? Everybody else is going to US anyways. I think I should try this Canada. It's even, I didn't even need the GRE that I already wrote. I already wrote this GRE, I already wrote TOEFL. I don't need. So then I just changed my mind, and then I applied straight to Canada, and then I got admitted. At that time, I remember I was in NYC camp at those states when I went to, because at that time there was no internet, was not that common everywhere, right? We used to go to cyber cafe to use the internet. I remember in NYC camp in Okada, Edo State. I just told a friend that I needed to go and check my email somehow, because I was following up with the school, right? So then we went to Adeniyi University, their campus. Went there to the cyber cafe to check. That was when I checked my email and I saw that I got admitted to Dalhousie University to study petroleum engineering. So I was on NYC camp when I got my admission. So at that point in time, because at that point in time I wrote GRE, I wrote TOEFL. I had not applied to US schools. I had not paid like application fee and those things. I can't remember. Maybe I applied to 1 or 2, but I had not completed submitting. They'll be requesting for transcript and those kind of things, right? But as soon as I got the admission from Canada, I just stopped responding to the US schools. They were emailing me. I just stopped. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go forward with this thing. And then I did the visa application, and then by the time, before I finished my NYSC, I already got the visa. And then by the time I was finishing NYSC in 2009, July, so a month after that, August, I landed in Canada. And then that's it. It's been,
that was absolutely amazing. I think GRE also was a catch for me, like we said before now. That was one of the big catch for me. I like, the English was just too much of grammar inside GRE. As in, like, why now? Why, Maka? Why? Why do I have to?
I don't think that. And then it wasn't. Yeah, of course, not that I scored like very high mark, but I did well. That I know I would get admitted if I wanted, but I just didn't follow. It ended up being useful later. Much later in the. You saw that I went to Texas Tech as well. So
yes,
for that particular GRE. I think they said it will expiry was for 5 years? So by the time I was applying to Texas Tech, the GRE was still valid. So it was the same one that I used.
Oh,
because
nice.
they're not going to admit me if I didn't have GRE, right?
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
that. It ended up being useful. So
I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't like GRE. I didn't like GRE because the English. I just thought the English was too big. Their troubles was too much. So again, I said maybe I should bail. I should leave engineering and go do a PhD in management, maybe operational management thereabouts. But again, I started writing GMAT. I did well. I did get good score, but again, I just knew that I was only trying to escape something.
Yeah.
I mean, so I was like, okay, if Canada is asking for GRE and everything, okay, now let's start looking for a professor to take me on for a PhD. But that was amazing. And now I want to have a follow-up question about that, because right now we can see an influx of obviously Africans into the UK just to get that international education, and it's getting increasingly difficult, and you're beginning to hear stories of people selling their properties and selling their whatever investments just to make them move from Africa to the West. And I just wanted to ask you, what advice would you give them about making this decision of, maybe I should say it this way, of choosing between local and international education for Africans?
That's a good question, but I think times are changing. So maybe 15 years ago, if you ask this question, my answer would be different. Today, yeah. What I would say is, it will never make sense to me why somebody will sell their properties to go to, another country, because for whatever reason, either you are going for grad school or for or just to change environment, or some people will say, oh, for the future of my kids, or things like that, right? It never makes sense to me. So now I will say, if you are not doing well in Nigeria, let's say for whatever reason, let's say you're not there yet, you don't have a career, you don't have a good job. Like, what I mean good job, you're doing something that that provides for you and your family, something that you can grow in, like in the industry that you're working, and then the role that you are. Maybe you're not where you are, don't get me wrong. Even many of us in Canada, we're not where we want to be yet, right? But you think you can grow, right? If you are there and you are doing well, if you see future in it, I don't think it makes sense to sell your properties and say you want to, relocate to the Western world. That doesn't make sense to me. But if you are not doing well, so okay, let's say, you finished NYSC, or you went to University in Nigeria, or you don't have a job, or for years you're not doing well, you're just, and then for whatever reason you wrote GRE, you wrote GMAT, or you wrote TOEFL, right? And then you got admitted, and then you got fully funded scholarship. By all means, please, I'll be the first person to say, oh yeah, pack your bag and leave, But if you are doing well, it kind of, I don't know, I won't be somebody that will tell you like whether to make that move or not. But the way I look at it, I've been here for a few years now. I think from what I've seen, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to do that. So I think it's okay for you to, and I've advised, some of my friends too. They say, oh, well, for our children. No, I would say, no, if it's for your children, okay, then hear me out. If you think you are doing well in your career and you think this is for your children, then you know what? It even makes sense for you to raise your children back there, because I know many people are raising their children here. The children turn out, because it's a different environment. The children don't turn out well because of, the peer pressure, and then they will say, oh, there's peer pressure in Nigeria. It's different. You don't have control, like that control much over your children here. You do, but the system can, yeah. Anyway, I know what I'm talking about. So I will say, so what I tell my friend, why not be saving your money, have an account, be saving some few hundreds of dollars there every month. If you think you're doing well, save this money. By the time, your kid is still in elementary school, right? Or even by the time you do this for the next 10 years or 8 years, by the time your kid will be getting to 18, they want to go to university, this money will be a lot. You can use this money to send your kids here. And at that time, your kids are already matured in the mind, right? 18, better than even 18. Even that, I don't subscribe to sending 18-year-old kids here to come to university. Like, to me, what I would have, like, if I want to advise even my own blood brother right now, or my own blood sister, say, okay, let your kid go to a good university in Nigeria, finish their bachelor's degree, let them be well-grounded, because this is a different environment. And when they finish university, then send them here for grad school. They're already mature, they're already settled, they can't get here and somebody like a peer, like one of their mates will be introducing them to do bad stuff, right? They're already grounded, so they will know how to deal with those things. They will know how to work hard. And looking at things, I can say empirically, people that came to Canada many years ago, as I would say, like a little bit more matured, maybe for grad school, I would say on the average, they do way better than those that, come from right from high school to start a bachelor's degree here, because they are more matured. And here it's a different environment, like I said. There are many other things that you have to deal with, that if you're not mentally prepared, if you're not mentally roasted in, if you are not mentally forged in fire, you won't be able to cope with a lot of challenge. Here has its own challenges too, same as Nigeria, different challenges. So that's just what I think.
Right. So you know that one of our goals, obviously, at WeGuide, is to bridge that learning gap between the African education system and the West, and the Western education system. I beg your pardon. So when you came, because in what I do right now, I do sits with grad students from time to time, and we always have conversations about, this is even what they meant in the class when I was back home in Africa. Now they are saying it this way. I didn't even know that that's the same thing, right? Sometimes you're just finding yourself that I know this stuff, but it's not sounding to me like I thought it was going to be said to me, or the way it was said to me where I come from. I wanted to ask you that, what gap did you notice between your initial education in Africa, or in Nigeria to be specific, and what was expected when you came to North America, to Canada, to study and to work? And how were you able to bridge those gaps? So my two questions in one. What gaps did you notice, and how were you able to bridge that gap?
Well, I will say, at least I've gone to school. I have degrees from 3 countries now: Nigeria, Canada, and US. I will say I cherish my Nigerian degree more than. Yes, that's just honest. I know it took more from me. That I wouldn't say it's easier to go to school in the US and Canada. No, that's not what I mean. I just mean that maybe because of the stress, of course you want to write exam, and then NEPA took light, and then there are many things you have to deal with. So that's why you cherish, you fought for this, right? Like I fought for this degree from IFE, right? This one from Canada, this one from US, I got it. I fought, a little bit, of course I had to study, I had to do the work, right? But I didn't have to fight much. So I will say the one from Nigeria prepared me. That's what I would say. The hardship, right? It prepared me to deal with any other hardship in other part of the world, in whatever form they will come from. Now, they might not be different. They might not be the same kind of hardship. NEPA took light, or this professor is being wicked, or whatever, right? It might be, something different, right? But that prepared me, and then that made it easier for me to adapt. You just have to know how to adapt. Things. If you are somebody that can quickly adapt to changing circumstances, I think you will do well in whatever situation you find yourself, be it career, even family life, even in studies, right? So one thing that I found challenging, going back to your question, when I first came to Canada, I remember, it was hard to understand some of the professors when they're talking, right? Even my supervisor, my supervisor at that time, he's British. So I think he did his PhD University of Leeds. So he's British, but he had been living in Canada for many years, but he still had that British accent. And then, other professors too that are Canadians. I remember we were doing some geology because I did petroleum engineering. So we're doing some geology, courses, and then we'll go on field trip into some part of Nova Scotia, Canada, where I live. And then these professors, Caucasians, they will be talking, and then I could barely hear I'm like, what is this, man? I could not even understand what he was talking about. And then it was challenging. So what I used to help myself was just to go back to books. And then I'll go back to books, and then I will go and study, and then I will, check the internet. Oh, so this is what this guy was talking about, and then I'll read it more, and then I'll join it to, okay, he was talking about something like this, and then I'll piece them together, right? So that was why I was able to overcome that challenge. Again, to the next one, work environment, transitioning. Like I said, you need to be able to adapt. It's a completely different environment. In Nigeria, I remember when I was still, I was doing NYSC. Looking forward to working. You want to work for Shell too. You want to work for Chevron. All those, we used to write, what did they call it? Test. What do they call it? Aptitude test, right? They would write you to come out, right? Yeah, aptitude test. So, at that time, those kind of things, they don't do them here in Canada, right? It's a completely different thing. If you want to, now you finish your studies, right? You want to get a job. Now you're dealing with, you don't have lots of work experience. Maybe you don't even have, apart from your internship. Now you are competing with an undergraduate that has maybe 1 year experience from a particular organization. Co-op, they call it co-op. Yes, that's what we were dealing. That's what I was dealing with. So they did co-op, and many of them they get their first job after school from that place that they do their co-op. If you did well, and even to get the co-op, you didn't have to write any test. I remember in Nigeria to my 4th year internship, the one that IT, right? Yeah, before I could get one, it was tough. I had to write aptitude tests in Nigerian breweries. It was based on I didn't know many people, right? It was based on merit that I did my IT at Nigerian breweries. They packed, I think we're over 300 from different schools, because they said they had few slots. Okay, maybe only 15 slots, and then they brought everybody together. Nigerian breweries in Ibadan. Somebody submitted my IT letter. Then the person said, "You know what? I'm a technician. I don't know the top people, but I know they will call you for interview. But I know if you pass, they will give you." And then I'm like, okay. And then, I did that. And then that was how I was able to get the internship. Now coming back to, after graduation too, it will have to be the same process. But here it's different. You're not doing that. Nobody's going to judge you based on that. They will look at your resume. Oh, you did well in school, but you don't have any, maybe even 1 year, Canadian experience. And at that time, it was kind of tough, right? Because remember, I did petroleum engineering. The global recession just ended, 2011, 2012. And then the oil price just started coming back up gradually. So people that had lost their job in Canada, experienced people, they were the ones that were, getting called for jobs. So it was tough too, at that time. But, by chance, by the help of God, I got hired by Weatherford at that time, and that was how I got into the oil and gas industry. And then, that was just the journey.
Oh wow, that's absolutely. And that you actually said something that I wanted to step in on, especially maybe because I'm an educator. I'm a teacher, and it's that place where you said that you could not understand the accent. And you did not ask for him to repeat himself. Only from the trauma we carry as African students. Because we don't ask questions in class. We would rather go back and study it, rather than you standing up in the middle of the class and say, "Excuse me, sir, I don't understand what you're saying."
Okay, because so now, not understanding.
No, not that you don't understand the concept. You don't understand his accent. Sir, I don't... Yes.
So how many times will you ask that question now? Because this is somebody that is going to be teaching you for 3 hours. So now whatever he's been saying for the last 3 minutes, you didn't understand much. So now you raise up your hand and say, "Oh, hey, sir, can you repeat what you said the last 3 minutes?" And then he repeats. And then again for the next 3 minutes. It wasn't his problem, right? He was speaking the way that's his accent. It was my problem, not really his problem. How was I going to tell him to change his accent just because of me, right?
But I will say this to you, sir, as someone that has taught, obviously, in the classroom here and in Canada, is the fact that they could say, could you repeat that place the first time? By the time the second time, the person looks at that, I think I'm the one that is not hearing properly. And those are the people you see in your office hours. And I love students like that. I absolutely love them. Whether they're in your office hours or they're waiting immediately after the class to say that.
Okay.
Here you said something. Did I hear this correctly or this correctly? And then you will be able to kind of say that, oh, you didn't hear correctly. This is what I meant and stuff like that. And let me tell you something. Even I could remember my first time teaching. Sometimes I want to say something. English would just fly. I mean, like, English is not my first language, right? Sometimes you want to use the word, especially when you're trying to make sure that you want to say the word in the context of what you want to say, and English will just disappear, and then you'll be like, God. Even I don't hide it in front of the class. In front of the class, I'll say like, oh my God, what is the word I'm looking for? I say it out loud in the microphone, even with my friends, like, there's a word I'm looking for, guys. Can somebody help me? Because I'm trying to figure it out, but then it's going to come back to me. Because what? English is not my first language. I mean, so again, like I said, like I always say, and I've done videos around that students must extend grace also to professors. You must extend grace to professors. Because sometimes some of them are even teaching what they don't fully know. That's the truth. We are teaching what we don't fully know. We're just there because, we are better, we are faster learners than you. And due to experience of where we are coming from, we are able to teach that based on what we know. And use that, come from the angle of what we know to teach what we do not know. So we would not fully know. And it might not be that you don't know at all. It might be that maybe you learned it maybe 20 years before. And everything before. So
it's a two-way thing. The language stuff is I remember now that I just remember. So when I was doing my master's at Dalhousie in Halifax, I was a TA. I was a teaching assistant to my supervisor. I think he was teaching a third year chemical engineering class, mechanical unit operations, and then because he was the head of the whole process engineering. He was the head of a large department where they had process engineering and applied sciences. So they had food science and technology under that. They had chemical engineering. They have materials. So he used to travel a lot. So whenever he traveled, like I'll be the one to teach that third year. And now you're teaching fresh from Nigeria. This was like few months from Nigeria. My accent, thick Nigerian accent, right? And then you had these kids, and then they'll be angry with you that, because I was the one, I will be the one to grade their midterms, their homeworks, those kind of things. And then when I teach, and then they will start asking questions like, Adeniyi, can you say that again? I didn't understand what you're saying. And then I will say it again, and then they wouldn't understand, and then they will be angry. And then they will come, So it was a two-way thing. I just remember that. and then at some point, so when I grade their scores now, and then those that are, of course, those that did well, I remember I used to grade, the first time I used to grade like how we were graded in Ife. And then a student would do a midterm, and then they will write rubbish, and then I'll give you 2/10. And then they'll cry to the professor, your TA gave me 2/10, and then the professor will be like, I don't know, go and meet Adeniyi, I don't want to. And then they will come to me and say, but that music. And then it was later that I started realizing that, you know what, 70A in Ife is different from 90 here. So like if you got 70 in Ife, that's, so I'm, it's the equivalent to like 90 or 95 here. So then I kind of started backtracking a little bit to say, okay, you know what? Even though it doesn't mean that I will still give you a mark if you don't do any work, but that kind of changed the way I look at it, differently. So yeah, it's a two-way thing, the language thing.
No, it's a language thing. You remember, I just busted into laughter because I just trying to tell some students to enjoy the weekend. And so I said, fresh out of the boat, I said, this weekend you can just go raise your leg up instead of raise your feet up. Apparently they meant two different things, to raise your leg up and to raise your feet up.
Yeah.
So all those kind of things you just learn.
And it's and some of them, they are not, you can't blame them. They're not that exposed to other cultures, right? And they're not willing to say, you know what, yeah, this person is fresh from his country. He's probably not used to these. And even my first job, when I finished school as well, some things, the way you say some things, I'll do some things. And and I need to say this, many of our people, they experience that as well. When we first come to Canada, or even some people that have been here for years, if you are not careful in your place of work, the way you approach issues, right? You will see people going behind you if you do something, maybe not something wrong, but maybe you're just not doing it the way they want you to do it, right? You see people going, instead of them telling you directly, so that, in a way, they'll go behind you and talk to your supervisor so that your supervisor can fire you, or, yeah. I'm sure many of us, we go through that here. It's just that maybe because we have thick skin. Some of us have thick skin. We know that. And like you asked about challenges. Yeah, those were one of the challenges. My first job, it was tough working with people that thought, okay, yeah, and it was a fast-paced environment, right? Imagine. And yeah, people that thought, yeah, you said you have masters, right? Yeah, you didn't understand when this person said, it has nothing to do with whether you have masters, right? They're just, maybe the person you're talking to did not even finish high school, right? Yes. So now this has nothing to do with your knowledge or anything. It was just like somebody saying, this is a different culture. This has nothing to do with whether I have masters or not, right? And then, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to my next questions, because on that topic, we can say a lot of things about that bridging the gap. And that's why we're inviting students, that there are people that have had to work hard to bridge the gap, have to be embarrassed, have to build thick skin to be able to bridge that gap. And we're welcoming students to come and learn, so that you don't have to go through all the struggles we went through. And this is to my maybe almost final question. We had spoken about this also behind camera, and we've said that there are really untapped potential in Africa. And that's why people that have good foresight, people that are from the West, are beginning to move to Africa, to say that Africa is the place to be. Africa is that place to be where you can, profitable when it comes to, even let's talk about business, or impactful when it comes to whatever solution you're trying to do. And I wanted you to talk about the opportunities that are there for young African engineers, especially in the space of clean energy sector. Because you've spoken about so much research that you do. You've spoken about how much of, thought process that comes into decisions you make in your workplace. One problem is different from the other. This facility is different from the other. And I'm not sure about that. I don't think that the kind of work that is being done here is not as much as what is being done in Africa when it comes to, I beg your pardon. Is way beyond what is being done in Africa when it comes to clean energy. What opportunities do you see in Africa for young engineers in that space?
Yes, like I would say in Africa has different challenge. I think I'll start from that. So there was, I think this lady, what's her name? Kemi Adeosun. He used to be Nigerian Minister of Finance. One time he went to, can't remember the conference that she went to now, and they were talking about clean energy, and then she was like, oh, you know what? We in Africa, we have different challenges, from the challenges of the West. With the West, I live in Alberta. Alberta, we used to use, coal used to be a huge portion of the energy mix in our power plants in Alberta, because we don't have, remember, we are landlocked. Alberta is landlocked. We don't have hydro electricity. Before we used to be dependent a lot on coal, but now most of our energy sources for electricity generation is from natural gas, because we have that in abundance here. Natural gas is, clean burning fuel, when you compare to coal, but it still has carbon in it. So we're still emitting CO2, even though it holds more energy per ton compared to coal. But Nigeria is, I don't want to say Nigeria alone. I'll say Africa. The challenge of the Western world, because they are way ahead, they are not they don't have the problem of, power outage or inadequate electricity supply. They have that, and they're trying to solve a challenge. And whatever you see in the Western world, whatever development you're seeing, it's all tied to energy. It's because, they've had this energy source for many years that is cheap, for oil and gas, and then that has led into a lot of the explosive industrial growth and the things that you've seen, right? Now, switching from that energy source to something that is clean, that's their challenge. In Africa, we're not even meeting our demands yet in electricity or in I would say energy. If we want to say, okay, according to what the lady Kemi Adeosun was saying, okay, we don't want to worry about clean energy now. We just want to have energy. We don't care. We will use coal. We will burn coal. We have coal in abundance. We will burn coal to generate electricity because you guys have been polluting the world for many years. Now we want to catch up. Now you're changing the formula for us. Because now, of course, the Western world too, they're trying to, I don't want to say pressure Africa, encourage Africa to adopt clean energy too. So I think what we can do, the opportunity is there. It's huge, but it just has to, I think this has to come from the leaders. Policy is the biggest thing. So if there is policy around these things, because even in the Western world, if you are saying, if the government is talking about something, there's no law and policy development to make that thing, to make investors want to put their money, because all these things it's not for the government to start saying, oh, we want to do this. No. Just create the policy, the environment that attract investors to do those things, right? So that your aim, you will achieve your goals, right? And then those investors too, they will achieve they want to make more money, right? Yeah, but you have to create the policy but in Africa, we don't have that in place. I know somebody was thinking of, for example, this came, my brother-in-law, he wanted a startup that they wanted to do something like smaller scale electricity generation and distribution, let's say in an estate, for example, right? Let's say in a private estate, you want to generate electricity and then sell it, connect people to it, and then. But what about policy? The policy was not in place, so they had to close it down, because here, for example, there's policy. I can put solar panel on my roof that will cover 100% of my electricity use, right? Sometimes I'm generating more than I need, then I'm selling back to the grid, right? Because let's say during the afternoon, I've gone to work, nothing is on in my house, only the fridge is on, right? But I'm generating more electricity. I have bi-directional meter. Okay, I'm exporting to the grid. And then the meter is counting it. Okay, yeah, this is how much I'm pushing back to the grid. And then when I'm back home in the evening, right, now there's no more sunshine. Now I'm taking from the grid. My meter is rolling back again. Say, okay, now you're buying from the grid. At the end of the month, they calculate what is the difference. Okay, you bought this. Okay, the difference is that at the end of the whole month, the electricity company, they're paying you back. Could be $100, right? Okay, or $50. The government developed the policy for that. Right? That's how that can work. In Africa, something like that is missing. Our leaders are not thinking about that, and those are the kind of things that will, spur investment and creativity, and people will start, you cannot imagine how many industries, smaller jobs that have come up with those policies alone. Because now in that case, okay, many people, they can come to your house and install solar for you. They're making money. What about other people? Some people are developing energy management software that they will sell to you so that you can, from your phone, right? When you're at work, you can turn off your equipment and say, okay, I'm turning this off. I want to be pushing. The government didn't develop all those things, right? But because of the policies that the government created, then there are lots of innovation here and there. Some people will think of, okay, this electricity that you are selling, right? At the end of the year, you are saving a lot of greenhouse gas emission because you're using less than you are producing. Okay, that means you are generating. They call something carbon credit, right? Meaning that, yeah, of course, you know what carbon credit. Yeah, so they buy it from, that's extra money. They buy that from you. There's policy around that. Those kind of things, you can't just wake up one day and say, oh, you go to Nigeria where there's no policy, there's no government. It's similar to like Nigerian petroleum PIB, what they call that bill that took them long time before they eventually signed it. Yeah. So investors were running away because they didn't understand where was the government going. So even though I know the opportunities are there in Nigeria, in Africa, because the industry has not even started. The carbonization or not, it has not even started. Now imagine the government creating the enabling environment, the policy, and then things will just pick up from there, and then a lot of innovation, people will be coming up with different ideas, and then boom, lots of jobs will be created, and but I know even in Nigeria now, so people are still doing their best. People are putting solar panels on their roof, people are doing it the way they can, but still, it's still not even, I would say we have not even started. The opportunities are huge, but we just need the government to, be the leader, create that environment, and then things will pick up and boom.
So I'm sure that one day somebody can hear this, that we do have a certified energy manager here that is able to put things in place for Africa as a whole, so that we can have an enabling environment for young engineers to be able to put into good use their creativity in that space. Because I just feel that the policy can come because we have a rich or a known person coming to do that. And I think it's going to be unfortunate for them then to have that policy when there's somebody that's already made in the West coming to come and do that, while we have young people that are willing to also do that right now. So I'm just hoping that we can call on our government around in Africa to please make policies that are very, very very enabling for them to also shine and everything. So just in closing, I just want you to say a word of encouragement to engineers right now going through school, young engineers just graduating, some people that are just graduating and figuring out that I think I'm not supposed to be here. For example, I think I'm not supposed to be here because I've seen, it was exciting it was not shocking, it was interesting to see one of the Nigerian skit makers to be a past student from my department in Obafemi Awolowo University, and is one of the biggest skit makers right now. And for some people that are feeling like that, what do you want to say to them, as let's say as a mentor from afar now, that you would say to your own mentor in your own session at We Guide?
Well, I will say, if you like the field that you find yourself, let's say you're at school, you're studying whatever kind of engineering, and you think nobody pushed you into it. You like, now you don't know what's going to happen 10 years. Like for me too, like I said, 15 years from now, I didn't even know anything about energy management or energy engineering or energy efficiency. But of course, because I already had the background from, I would say, what I'm doing now, most of the knowledge, I will still go back to Ife. Most of the knowledge because what I do now is, energy management. Anybody that have engineering degree can do energy management. But I will say it will be easier. There are some schools now that are offering energy engineering as a degree program, like University of Calgary, they have it. So it's a new, they are pulling it, they are pulling courses from mechanical, chemical, electrical, pulling them together, because that's what energy management really is. I think it's easier. Somebody that, for example, studied civil engineering can do energy management, but they might find it a little bit challenging, right? Before they can do it, don't get me wrong, but but somebody that studied maybe mechanical or electrical or even chemical, right, might find it maybe a little bit easier. Of course, there's an electrical portion to it, but I use my residual knowledge from your EE 201 or EE 291, right? But because we're talking about energy, right? Energy movement, energy is created. You can move it around. You can move it to electrical. You can turn it to electrical, then turn it back to mechanical energy, and then turn it back to thermal energy, and then use it to heat your home, and then use it to drive your car. Those kind of things, right? So if I didn't, like I said, I wanted to work in oil and gas because I thought, they said they pay well. Okay, yeah, we all wanted money. But then after I left oil and gas industry in that was maybe 2016 now, 2017. No, I think 2017. By chance, like I said, I still talk about, God, faith, by chance. I met somebody that said, "Oh, wow, I like your resume. You know what? I think you can do energy engineering. You can, yeah, I know you don't, your experience doesn't say you don't, but with your resume, I think you can do it." And then he trusted me and then, gave me the first job. And then boom, did the certification, and then I got into, and then I found out that, oh wow, this is what I should have been doing. I shouldn't even be good, Of course, you can be an energy manager in an oil and gas company too, right? Oil and gas, they have their own decarbonization, strategy as well, But I just felt that, this is what I like. This is because I have that background in, how, like I said, if you have the most of the knowledge that I'm using are from like first year, second year, third year engineering knowledge. That's all you use. And then now, if you have passion, if you're a young person, I think you have passion for what you are doing. Don't worry, you do well. 15 years from now, you don't know what you will. You might be, you might not even be doing engineering. There are some people that did engineering and then got into this and then did engineering for 5 years and then sales. Now they're doing sales. They're selling, technical sales manager, for example, right? They're selling product, they're selling engineering product that, you never, but all I would say is whatever you are doing, do it well and then be open-minded. That's what I just keep your options open. Now times are changing. We're in the times of AI, artificial intelligence and things like that. Keep your options open, develop yourself. Don't just say right now that, oh, I just need my chemical engineering or mechanical engineering book and then I just study it. You yourself, you need to, things are changing now. Take courses in AI. I'm not saying go and take another degree. No, it can be online. Things are easy now, right? It could be like a 1-week program or go on YouTube, go on YouTube and learn about these things, learn just to prepare yourself for the future. Because like I said, things are changing, but if you develop those skills and you're able to prove that you can do those things, the sky is just the limit.
That's amazing. And what is that one course or maybe one book or one resource that you actually engaged with that actually changed your career? Is there one course you did or one knowledge you gained or one resource or whatever?
I will say, I don't know, what's the name of this book? Okay, I think I have it here. It's there let me put it out in my life. Yeah. So this is it. This was the book. When I got introduced to energy management, this was the book. And then, of course, it's Guide to Energy Management. It was, I don't know if there is a newer edition now, but it's, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. So this was the book that changed everything. And then when I got into energy management, right? I was new to it, so what will I do? When I took the course, I did the certification, which was a 1-week intensive, course, and then you write an exam, and then you pass the exam. So this was the book that really helped me. And then after that, if I have anything confusing, right, I go back to this book to say, okay, what is this talking about? This book they just pull together things from second year, first year, third year, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, and then they put them together. That's what the guy did. That's what you have in this book. So I use, now maybe I don't consult it a lot as before, because now I think I've been doing it for some years that I know that, okay, this is how this works. I can do this, from my head.
That's actually, I was having a content and I spoke about that, why senior professors or senior lecturers should teach lower level courses. It reminds you of the foundation of everything that you are. And if first year, second year, third year is what is put together into that book and gives you the solution you need. See, everything, no matter how high you go, there's still something at the foundation of it, and which is that basic engineering first year, second year.
That foundation is the key of whatever. And that's why And that's why, permit me when I said, I think I'm sorry, I should say I'm sorry to say, I wasn't downplaying my Canadian and my American degree. No, it was just because I got the background from Ife, right? That's where I got. So now it makes every other thing easier for me, because I went through that, that Ife kind of, baptism, right?
Yes.
So it made other things easier for me. If I didn't do that at that time, maybe other things will have been more challenging. But that's why it looks like, oh, is he saying Ife is tougher than Canada? Maybe, but I'm not saying that directly.
Yeah,
but
I understand.
It gave me the foundation.
That's why you got your foundation. And in engineering, or even in general, the shelf life of mathematics, which is the rigors, part of it, the rigors you go through in undergrad, is just there's no, it's forever. Like maths, just once you know maths, it's going to be easy for you. And that's why people that do have a solid understanding of maths can actually switch into AI very, very easily than people that do not have that background. And I would say that it's been an amazing time chatting with you and reliving the old times and the new times. Do you have a closing message for us in this session? Do you have a closing message for us? Is there something you want to say that as we end this session?
Well, I just want to, thank you for the opportunity to, share ideas, rub minds. If this podcast, touches somebody and they want to learn more about energy management, for example, or what I do, they can, they should feel free to reach out. And then I also just want to commend you for the good work that you're doing. I think this is really, really impactful. Many people are going to benefit from this, because maybe if I had this kind of mentorship many years back, it could have, maybe made things easier for me, right? Maybe I wouldn't have gone through. Maybe, for example, I wouldn't have gone even to oil and gas industry at all, right? I could have just said, oh, I didn't even know anything like energy management. Okay, this is energy management. Okay, I never heard of it like at that time, right? I wouldn't have gone to maybe oil and gas. I would have just, let me just, maybe do my postgrad in energy engineering, for example, or something like that. But yeah, I would say, this is a good initiative. It's going to help a lot of people, and I really wish you good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And that was engineer Adeniyi Adeaga. Is a professional engineer in Canada. And if you really want to have a mentorship session with him, you can go onto our website at WGLI Initiative, and you're going to see him there. Try register first. Once we kind of authorize that you can come onto our platform, you can then see his calendar and see his availability and talk to him for free. And this is open to all African students and young professionals in Africa. All right, sir. Thank you so much for the time again, and we appreciate you and your contributions to the platform. And we hope to have this conversation again on a bigger platform. Also, maybe three of us, maybe another chemical engineer from the base that actually went another way. The foundation now is engineering. The foundation now is chemical engineering. So you went the engineering management way. Maybe somebody else went the process engineering way. And it would be amazing to have that three connections to see how those decisions were made and how you walked the journey up onto that branch of engineering. And it's an amazing time. Thank you so much again, sir. And
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. I hope to see you very soon. So thank you, everybody, and bye for now. See you in the next episode.